Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow feelings of tension, any stress, any worries to leave your body in your outward breath. That's right. Breathing in that resourceful feeling of relaxation and just exhaling anything unresourceful. Feelings of tension, feelings of stress, anything that is impeding you to be at your very best. Notice as you slow down your breathing and breathe out deeper than you normally would. It enables you to take a deeper breath in, breathing in more of that resourceful feeling of relaxation. As you feel your body going deeper and deeper relaxed. I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine an old, crumbling fortress in a beautiful landscape. Maybe the fortress is by the coast or inland, surrounded by amazing countryside. But the fortress is not at its best. There might be bricks that are crumbling, giving you an idea that a moment in time, this fortress was strong, impressive, and impenetrable. And it still retains the beauty of its past, but needs work to retain it to its former glory. And I want you to imagine somewhere in this fortress is a bedroom that looks strangely familiar to you. Perhaps you can imagine a four-poster bed in this bedroom, in this fortress. And I want you to make it dressed with the kind of sheets, pillows, duvet that are recognizable as your bed. And I want you to imagine that you are lying on the bed with a head on a pillow in a room inside a fortress, and this fortress is capable of being restored to its former glory. I want you to think of this fortress from an architectural perspective. The size of the bricks, the height of the fortress. From what era was this fortress built? Is it a medieval fortress? A fortress that is more similar to a castle? Or a more modern fortress? You get to decide. But just acknowledge as you, in your imagination, tour the fortress, knowing that your body is still in that bed, as to all the opportunities that this fortress could be made stronger. I want you to imagine that you're back in that bed, in that room, in that fortress, feeling deeply relaxed. In fact, I will count down from 10 to 1, and with each descending number, you will feel 10% deeper and deeper relaxed, enabling your body and mind to go to a place of deep tranquility and calm relaxation. 10. Eyelids feeling heavier, releasing any tension around your eyes, your eyebrows. enabling you to feel deeper and deeper relaxed as you release that tension from around your eyes. 9. Focusing on the muscle in your forehead. Remembering times where you had expressions like surprise or concern, and knowing that you don't need those muscles to feel any tension here in this place, in this bed, in this fortress. 8. Feeling relaxation drift down into your jaw, enabling your jaw, your mouth, the muscles around your cheeks leading up to your ears to just let go of any tension, releasing that tension. And then 7, from the top of your head all the way down your neck to your shoulders. Feel that relaxation spreading, melting away any tension all the way down to your neck and your shoulders. Feeling deeper and deeper relaxed. 7 now goes into 6 as you feel that relaxation going all the way down your arms. There in that bed, in that fortress. Arms feeling limp, loose, heavy. Choosing to release that tension. 6 goes to 5 as you feel that even your internal organs are relaxing. Imagine your lungs relaxing. Your heart relaxes. Your diaphragm, your stomach relaxes. And I want you to accept that as you sleep, your body is naturally entering a state of ketosis. Very mild ketosis. But because you haven't eaten from your last meal throughout the night, your body is naturally adapting to start being able to turn body fat cells into energy. And that's what they call breakfast, because it's the breaking of the fast that you naturally encounter when you sleep. 5 goes into 4 as that relaxation goes into your gut, and I want you to feel any tension, any anxiety being released from your gut, your intestines. 4 goes to 3, down into your legs feeling limp, loose, heavy, down into your calf muscles, down into your toes. And I want you to imagine that you're drifting into a deep, deep sleep, just within your imagination. 2 goes to 1, imagine sleeping on that bed, there in that fortress. As I want you to entertain an idea that this fortress represents your health, your well-being, and your self-esteem and confidence. And you already know that when your health improves, when your energy levels improve, when your body changes shape, that then makes you feel more confident with higher levels of self-esteem, more comfortable in your own skin. And I want you to imagine that this fortress represents an opportunity for you to build such resilience and strength that you can encounter more of those positive emotional states and defend not just against infection, illness, but also those unresourceful emotional states like stress and worry and anger. I want you to imagine that those emotional states are on the outside of the fortress. I want you to imagine that illness is on the outside of the fortress. That low confidence and self-esteem is on the outside of the fortress. And these things will try and get in if the fortress is weak, if there are vulnerabilities in the fortress. And I want you to accept the suggestion that your overall emotional evaluation in the moment can build or weaken the foundations of your fortress. And I want you to think of a time that made you feel happy, perhaps seeing a cute little face of someone that you love. Just notice where you feel that good feeling, and then imagine the foundations of your fortress are getting deeper. This fortress isn't a skyscraper, but I want you to imagine you have foundations that are going deeper as if the fortress was a skyscraper. Having stronger foundations that you need that get stronger whenever you're in a positive emotional state. I want you to think of a time where you achieve something important to you. A time when you had a sense of pride and satisfaction, accomplishment. Reconnect with that version of you, feeling like you felt at the same time, of feeling how good it feels to grow, to progress, to evolve. And again, as you tap into that wonderful feeling, imagine the foundations of your fortress are becoming reinforced with steel, enabling this fortress to be built on the strongest foundations. I want you to imagine waking up in the morning to the sound of an alarm. But before you hear the alarm, I want you to imagine accessing a strong, resourceful emotion. Maybe a time when you were determined, a time when you were focused, a time perhaps that you felt strong. And when you can access one of those emotions, or perhaps all of those emotions, feeling strong, determined and focused, imagine hearing the sound of the alarm that normally wakes you up in the morning. Notice the feeling of that inner strength and hear the alarm. Hear the alarm, feel that inner strength. I want you to do this 2 more times, to hear the alarm and feel that strength. And accept the suggestion that the alarm in the morning that you listen to will then trigger this feeling of inner strength. So the very first emotion that naturally will gravitate towards you is a feeling of strength. As you imagine the foundations of your fortress, it gives you a feeling that your fortress is getting stronger and has the capability of being even stronger. I want you to imagine getting up out of that bed and thinking of your morning ritual. Maybe a shower, maybe brushing your teeth, maybe getting dressed. And I want you to look at how any of those things can give you an appreciation, a sense of gratitude and wonderful feelings. As you brush your teeth, you can be grateful that you've woken up to experience another day. If you take a shower, just noticing the feeling of the water on your skin. Because if you can be grateful for the small things, you can be grateful for anything. Being grateful for brushing your teeth, getting dressed in the morning, having a shower. And I want you to accept the suggestion that whenever you see yourself in the mirror, whenever you smile at your own reflection, will give you a sense of high confidence and self-esteem, which then reinforces the foundations of your fortress. I want you to imagine that nutrition and the choices that you make are the things that are the building blocks of your fortress. I want you to imagine that when you take nutritious supplements, perhaps a vitamin, perhaps creatine, perhaps essential proteins or amino acids, I want you to imagine that you are repairing the building blocks in your fortress. I want you to imagine that your body is a cellular fortress, and you can feed yourself quality ingredients to make those cells stronger, or you could give yourself poor quality nutrition that makes those cells weaker. Everyone knows that excess processed foods and sugar creates inflammation in the body. This is a reaction at a cellular level that makes your body weaker. There are foods that heal and foods that harm. And I want you to imagine having a delicious breakfast that enables you to continue your body's natural tendency to burn fat, that mild state of ketosis that you secure when you naturally go to sleep. Why not extend it as you wake up? The roundabout is already spinning. Why not make it spin a bit faster? As you imagine having some keto-friendly breakfast, maybe a shake, some scrambled eggs, and maybe you have that with a drink that enables you to have your supplements. And as you do that, imagine the building blocks of your fortress are getting stronger. And maybe you imagine that broken brickwork is being replaced by strong brickwork. That there are certain things that are happening to make your fortress stronger, more powerful. As you eat healthy, nutritious vegetables, again imagine the fortress is getting bigger and stronger. And I want you to get a sense that there will be times where you forget to have a vitamin tablet. You forget to eat sufficient vegetables. You miss some supplements. And I want you to imagine what your fortress would look like if there was just a section of it missing. The fortress is designed to protect you, but a missing section of a fortress on the perimeter means that it no longer protects in the same way. It looks tidy, perhaps crooked. And I want you to accept the suggestion that whenever you evaluate that you've missed out on something, it doesn't suddenly mean that the whole fortress is crumbled. It's just an opportunity to fill a gap. Almost like if you see a picture that's slightly crooked, you don't destroy the whole picture. You just adjust the frame slightly until it's as it should be. And I want you to imagine that you've evaluated that on one day, maybe you haven't done one of those things that you feel is making your fortress as strong as it could be. And I want you to imagine the brickwork is crooked. Well, there's a section of the fortress that's missing. And then imagine that as you imagine doing that thing, whatever you've missed out on, it immediately fills that gap. That sense of something not being right is suddenly exchanged with relief that it is now right. And if making that adjustment makes you feel better, let me know by nodding your head. That's right. And there are so many ways that you can make your fortress stronger. But I want you to accept that nutrition is one part of your fortress. Activity is another. And it doesn't matter if it's a 2-minute walk, or using some exercise equipment, or going for a hike, or playing a sport, or going for a swim. I want you to imagine that activity that gets your body moving and your heart rate increasing and your lungs breathing at a rate higher than they would if you were just resting. It's like you not just repairing your fortress, but reinforcing the fortress Imagine that activity is the mortar, the cement, that is gluing these bricks together to make your fortress even stronger. And sometimes it might be a 2-minute walk, and sometimes it might be using technology to box in a virtual reality world that still gets your body moving. In fact, I want you to imagine that you are boxing inside a virtual reality game. And I want you to imagine that as you're doing that, you can imagine strong cement filling the gaps in your fortress to make your fortress stronger. And if that feels good, let me know by nodding your head. Activity of all kinds now gives you the ability to take your body, your health, your life in a positive direction. I want you to imagine you're like a bird or a drone flying over your fortress, seeing how strong it's become. Anything that is involving emotions and knowledge will strengthen your foundations. And you can strengthen your foundations just by listening to an audiobook or accessing a state of gratitude and strength and pride. Anything positive and strong and powerful strengthens your foundations. Whenever you make nutritional choices, whether it's delicious vegetables, a vitamin tablet or supplements, eating less food than you need, but better quality food, imagine the brickwork of your fortress getting stronger, more impressive. And then imagine that activity is the cement that glues it all together, that repairs any of these things that have been broken or eroded over time. And I want you to imagine that there are things that you can do to strengthen this fortress, but there are also things that you can do to weaken this fortress. And from above, as you see this fortress, I want you to imagine perhaps doing something which isn't good for your emotions, like affecting your sleep by binge watching a TV show immediately before you sleep. And imagine that you're seeing your fortress being attacked. It can't crumble it, it's too strong, but it's weakening your fortress. Imagine if there was a time when you ate excess sugar and processed foods. Imagine perhaps a tank or a bulldozer trying to break the brickwork or steal the bricks of your amazing fortress. I want you to think back in history of amazing buildings, iconic buildings of history. Sometimes the most beautiful buildings were left in ruin, and then the local villagers would take those incredible rocks of this beautiful, iconic structure just to build their own house. I want you to accept the suggestion that your fortress can get stronger and your fortress can get weaker. But even if your fortress gets weaker, you can immediately make it stronger by waking up feeling strong, by feeling grateful when you brush your teeth and get dressed in the morning, by using a morning drive to listen to something or to think about something that puts you in a positive emotional state. That your fortress can get stronger simply by giving your body the nutrition that it needs. And you can reinforce that fortress even more simply by using your body in an active way that gives you feelings of satisfaction. You enjoy the feeling you get when your body releases those endorphins connected to going out of your comfort zone, accomplishing something difficult. And I want you to get a sense that at any point in time, you can make choices to reinforce and make your fortress stronger, and in doing so, you will find that any of those choices simultaneously boost your self-confidence and self-esteem, because you are your fortress. A strong fortress gets sick less often. A strong fortress can be protected against negative emotional events, stressful occasions. And a strong fortress is immune from the opinions of other people because you are safe and secure in your own evaluation of yourself. If your unconscious mind accepts these suggestions to be true, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to think of this strong fortress and imagine that it gets stronger all the time. There is no limitations to how strong this fortress could be. With deeper foundations, the fortress could be bigger and stronger. And if it reaches a certain point of strength, you can use your ability to make it more beautiful and more stylish and more elegant. Because there have been fortresses in history that are functional, and then there are fortresses that are beautiful castles that happen to be palaces and look amazing as well. I want you to accept the suggestion that the first phase is to repair your fortress. The second phase is to make your fortress stronger. And when it's as strong as it can be, then it's to make it more beautiful than any fortress has ever been. And all of this can be done through the choices that you make. As you repair the fortress, your confidence will grow. As you make the fortress stronger, your health and energy levels will improve. And as you make it as beautiful as it can be, I want you to get a sense that life gets easier. You're able to flow through life because you can access the resources that are useful for you. I want you to return to this bed in this fortress with all of those feelings back. And now, I want you to get a sense that you're in the same bed but no longer in your fortress. But in reality, as you take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose, just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, get a sense that you're back in your body right now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, you will feel positive, strong, and eager to build the fortress as you want it to be. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.